Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Vivimos juntos.
We live united.
We live united.
I live united.
Welcome to Live United. I'm your host, Milton Little. Each year, as schools close for summer break, there's an excitement in the air for many kids across greater Atlanta. Pool visits, ice cream truck treats, and bike rides around the neighborhood are no longer a daydream. Sadly, summer is very different for many kids that are part of a free or reduced lunch plan during the school year. Instead of enjoying the rewards of a summer break, they're worried about their next meal. Did you know that more than 350,000 children are at risk of going without one or more meals each day this summer? That means 1 in 5 children in Greater Atlanta is in a free or reduced meal program during the school year and will lose their provided lunch this summer. Today's episode of Live United will focus on United Way's Silence the Growl initiative, featuring our agency and corporate partners that make our summer hunger program possible. During the show, we'll talk about the effects of food insecurity, and we'll have a special announcement about Silence the Growl from one of our corporate partners. But right now, I'd like to welcome to the show Action Ministries CEO Kelley Henderson and United Way of Greater Atlanta's Director of Basic Needs, Charles Sterne. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks,
Thank
Milton.
you.
Good to have you both, and welcome back, Kelley.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
So, Charles, let's start with you, because you've been involved with Silence of the Growl for 4 years. Tell us a little bit about the program and what you think some of the highlights of those 4 years have been.
So the program itself is we raise funds to provide meals for children who are on free and reduced lunch during the school year. What's really exciting over the last 4 years is that what started as kind of a small crowdfunding initiative has really grown from year to year. And to date, we've served over 140,000 meals through our agency partners, including Action Ministries, as well as tens of thousands of meals through volunteer activities that many of our corporate partners are involved with as well.
So you remember, you talked about the crowdfunding. I remember when that first began, and we were getting donations from individuals across the internet. But now we've got corporate partners and others. So those companies out there who are watching, who are not involved, tell them a little bit about how they might get involved with this.
So you can learn more about how to sponsor Silence the Growl on the website, which is silencethegrowl.org. Our current corporate partners include Delta Airlines, Wells Fargo, Enterprise Holdings, and there they can find out information not only about how to give to the program, but also opportunities for their employees to engage in volunteer activities as well.
So just staying there for a second, just generally, what kinds of things are those corporate partners doing as donors and as a volunteer opportunity?
Well, as donors, we've calculated how much a meal will cost. So when they are actually giving to Silence the Growl, and those meals are at $2.50 per meal, they can actually give a certain amount of meals to kids in our community and help us reach our goal, which this year is 70,000 meals. And in addition, volunteerism activities, they can help deliver meals, they can help pack snack packs, they can provide food to be put into those meals and snack packs as well.
So those folks who are not part of a company, how might they get involved? And if there's anybody watching who's hungry this summer or knows somebody who's hungry, how can they get help?
So I'll answer the second question first. In order to find out more information about resources in your community, there are a couple ways to do that. One, at silencethegrowl.org, you can actually, there's a section on there that has resources for families and has meal sites that are through DECAL right from the start, the Georgia Summer Feeding Program, and you can find a summer feeding site in your community. In terms of how individuals can get involved, I know that Action Ministries has opportunities, including some of our other partners as well. Action, Must Ministries, the Atlanta Community Food Bank. I think, Kelley, you probably have information on how to access volunteer opportunities.
It's all online. So on our website, actionministries.net, we have a volunteer portal, and we have all of our feeding sites, 98 sites total this year, where you can sign up for a site close to you and give back. If you have a day, if you have an hour, sign up.
Now, Kelley, you've been a guest on this show before. You've been a partner in Silence the Growl. Just what are you seeing from your perch at Action Ministries?
Yeah, well, thanks again for having me back. And one of the things that we try to do is we've been doing this work now for 55 years this year, so we're really excited to celebrate that anniversary. But the hunger need is changing as we're going. It's not only a summer problem. It is a year-round need, and many of these food insecure families, particularly in the state of Georgia, where 1 in 4 kids have no idea where they're going to get their next meal. It's important for us to be able to wrap that family with services year-round, beyond the food as well, providing them enrichment opportunities to learn together. And so those are some of the things that we're working with our partnership to do.
Let's move the camera back and then sort of come back into Silence the Growl. For those people who are watching the show who are not familiar with Action Ministries, sort of what do you do, and where does this fit within the framework of your program and services?
Well, Action Ministries was founded in the 60s as a resource to the faith community. We've since grown now to serve over 50 counties in Georgia with 3 main initiatives. Number 1 is we work to end hunger. Number 2, our focus is to end homelessness. And number 3 is to close achievement gaps with families through education, helping families to learn together. The common thread is the struggle of poverty. But we couldn't do any of that without volunteerism. So the partnership that we have with United Way not only helps us to raise awareness of the problem, but we can mobilize thousands of people around it and actually bring the work together and make a huge impact.
Now, let's go back into Silence the Growl, because I'm not sure a lot of people really understand this idea, not only of summer hunger, but just food insecurity generally. And you touched on it a little earlier, but go a little deeper into the plight that people are facing.
Sure. Well, food insecurity in Georgia, it's about 17% of the state that is struggling with food insecurity. But
how do you define food insecurity?
Food insecurity is essentially where your other cost burden that you have, your housing cost, your transportation cost, really greatly exceed your ability to be able to have access to healthy food. So food is usually the last thing that you're able to provision. So the quality of that food and the health of that food declines. And also just the sheer access to food. There's a lot of food deserts throughout many parts of the city. And so our job is to make sure that we get the food out into those communities so that folks who don't have access to transportation can get access to healthy meals during the summer and beyond the school year as well.
Are you seeing the problem get worse, or is it stabilized? I mean, just what's it look like?
I think we've done a pretty good job of telling the story, and so more people are aware that there's a problem. So we actually have an opportunity now. I think the next few years, if we can come together as a community and really grab onto this, we can end hunger. I think the resources are there. I think the will is there, and we've got to find a way to put those together. And I think United Way and our partnership's a great way to do that.
Charles, going back to you, because we've got a few minutes left in the show. You also are familiar with 211. Are we getting a lot of calls that come about sort of hunger generally, and particularly the summer, or is that not one of the things that people call 211 about?
It's absolutely one of the main things that people call about. In fact, I think it's in the top 3 in terms of requests for assistance is around food, whether it be meals programs or food pantries. It's a constant need, and you know, we're seeing. In fact, you can go on the website at silencethegrowl.org, and you can actually see in each of your communities what the child well-being status is and what the need is in that community. But absolutely, it's something we're seeing, in fact, growing.
So just on that point, so
Sure.
as we said earlier, you've been around this program 4 years. Are you seeing the numbers actually grow? I mean, are we looking at folks in Georgia more hungry than ever before?
Absolutely. You know, even as the economy has improved, I think that, you know, costs we all know about in our community that housing costs have gone up. You know, those associated costs, the things that keep people from being able to afford their rent, their light bill. It's squeezing families more and making food is kind of the last thing they're considering. So yes, absolutely, we're seeing that.
And Kelley, you said that too,
Yeah.
that folks sort of pay for everything else and provision for food last. You and I probably go to restaurants and see all kinds of food being wasted. The idea that this hunger is so prevalent just boggles the mind.
It does, and I think that's a unique phenomenon that we're dealing with, and I think people we take it for granted, so it becomes a problem just because it's not in our front view. We're too busy worried about other things that we've got. So I think this is an opportunity for us as an agency and as a city to come together and say, how do we end hunger? And how do we do that? And there are thousands of kids that are waiting for us to give them that answer. And I think we can do it.
Must fill you with a great deal of pride to see volunteers and donors sort of step up.
That's the secret
What's an
sauce.
example of one of those moments where you just said, you know, maybe we can get this done?
You know, I think an example recently, I was visiting one of our sites and I came up and the kids lined up for their meal, they lined up for their book reading session and all the things that go on these feeding sites. And a little boy tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey mister, do you want to throw the ball?" He wanted to throw a football. So beyond hunger, these kids are looking for belonging. They're looking for hope. They're looking for someone to say, hey, I care. I'm going to take time and I'm going to spend time with you. Who knows, just 5 minutes of throwing a ball with a kid may have empowered that kid to be able to be a part of his own solution in the future. I think that's an important piece that our donors and volunteers bring.
I can't imagine how that warmed the heart. So we've got just a couple of minutes left. If there's a call to action, Charles, what might it be from your perspective to our audience?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, I think you can certainly donate to the Silence the Growl effort. That's one. But secondly, go out and volunteer. You know, organizations like Action Ministries, like Must Ministries, like the Atlanta Community Food Bank, who are key partners for us in this work. They're always looking for volunteers, and I know Kelley will echo me on that. Yeah. To go out into these communities. What's great about the work that Action Ministries does is they actually go to where the children are and where the greatest need is, and they deliver these meals to those kids. And they do things like bring books and bring reading materials, and they have other types of engagement beyond food. So get involved. That would be my takeaway.
Great. You got 5 seconds to
Same
make your
thing,
call.
get involved. We've got opportunities to get involved. Go to silencethegrowl.org or actionministries.net. Sign up, it'll change your life too.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Kelley. The work that you guys are doing to end summer hunger and the knowledge of the issue of food insecurity, I hope today provided some info to our audience about why Silence the Growl and why so many other feeding programs are important. You know what? We'll be right back. And we'll talk to 2 more supporters of Silence the Growl, Wells Fargo and Enterprise Holdings.
Hi, I'm Priya, and I'm the spokesperson for United Way. United Way helps make communities awesome, but do you know they have a lot of help? Well, now you do. United Way has a ton of help from people just like you. Oh, and me. People like us, I like to call communitarians, because we care a lot about our communities. For us, caring means doing something, and United Way helps turn all of our caring into a whole heck of a lot of doing. United Way is powered by awesome communitarians. You should totally join us. And hey, I know the best way in.
Welcome back to Live United. In our last segment, we talked about Silence the Growl, summer hunger, and food insecurity year-round. In this segment, we'll talk to Daffany Murphy, Vice President of Human Resources at Enterprise Holdings, and Christy, Vice President, Atlanta and North Georgia Community Affairs at Wells Fargo. I'd like to welcome you both to the show.
Thank you.
So Daffany, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about your role at Enterprise Holdings and the partnership that you have with United Way to serve the community.
Sure. I'm the VP of Human Resources here locally in our operating group in Atlanta. I oversee the HR umbrella, so talent acquisition, talent development, and then the generalist. I'm also happy to report that I'm the employee campaign manager for the United Way here locally for our operating group. And as far as our, history with the United Way and philanthropy as a company, Enterprise Holdings has been in business for over 60 years, founded, privately owned, founded by Jack Taylor. Philanthropy was very important to him and giving back to the community. He started with 7 cars and knew that it was important to make sure that he was supporting local businesses, also local organizations to help the business thrive and continue to grow. So you fast forward to today, again, continues to be part of his legacy. The United Way has actually been the organization that we've partnered with for almost as long as we've been, in business. And it's really helped us as a company being a decentralized business, giving our employees an opportunity to truly give back to their local communities based on the different United Way branches throughout the U.S.
Well, thank you for that. So we know at United Way how important Silence the Growl has been to Enterprise Holdings. So tell the audience a little bit about why that particular initiative has had such of a strong partnership.
Sure. I think that it's been really nice to have a focal point for our employees. We have employees that obviously have different interests and want to support the communities in many different ways. But really we have found that there's a synergy and energy around the Silence of the Growl initiative and really supporting our children with the notion that whether that means supporting, parents, supporting the teachers that teach them, et cetera, that those are our future leaders. And if we're going to continue to have a thriving business and thriving life, that it's important to give back. So it's been really great to have something to unify our employees and that they're so excited about. And, Silence of the Growl, again, it just gives us really something tangible that they can do outside of the financial, the financial impact that they have through the United Way throughout the year.
Great. So speaking of excitement, standing next to you, packing sandwiches is like a big deal.
Yes.
So
We love it.
Yeah, I know you do. So say a little bit about why that volunteer experience just seems to have meant so much to so many folks at Enterprise Holdings.
Sure. Well, I have to give credit to one of our leaders who's part of the Georgia, I have to get this right, Business Travel Association, and it was an idea that came to fruition probably 5 years ago, where they wanted to find a way of, using our corporate partners come together, find something that we all have in common, being philanthropy, and coming up with, let's figure something out during the year. Silence of the Growl made sense. That first year, they had a goal of 5,000 meals. And this year, our event is July 18th. We have increased our corporate partnerships. We have many more volunteers, over 200 scheduled, and 15,000 snack packs to build. So we're really excited. And again, it just speaks to the fact that here in Greater Atlanta, it takes one person to really make an impact. And when we all come together, our people and our employees have really thrived from that. Working together, seeing how our corporate accounts and our business partners really care about the community as well.
It is something to see when you guys all come together.
Yeah, we don't mess around.
No, you don't mess around at all. Christina.
Yes.
Welcome. And so say a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
Say a little bit about the role that you play at Wells Fargo and then the relationship that United Way and Wells Fargo enjoy.
Sure. Well, as a Vice President of Community Affairs at Wells Fargo, I get to work directly with nonprofits and organizations like United Way to create and execute programs and initiatives that help address social and economic issues and challenges that are affecting Metro Atlanta.
Before we talk about the Silence the Growl initiative and the partnership between United Way and Wells Fargo, say a little bit about something called the Financial Capability Network.
Sure, absolutely. In 2012, Wells Fargo and United Way teamed up together to help find new ways to help people become more financially stable. Wells Fargo awarded United Way a $5 million grant that was to be utilized over 5 years and to create this financial capability network. And through this program, through Wells Fargo's leaders and through United Way's best-in-class financial stability efforts, we were able to test new kinds of ways of financial coaching. So working together, we worked in 8 markets across the country, including Atlanta, and developed best-in-class initiatives to help these different areas and significant improvements in these areas. Since the start of the Financial Capability Network, we have helped over 42,000 low to moderate income families. They have met with a financial coach. So that's over 42,000 families that met with a financial coach. And over 32,000 families either achieved at least one of their personal goals. So that's really exciting. And then we had over 18,000 clients who their income increased. And over 6,900 clients whose debt was reduced.
I don't know that our audience really knows just how important that is. I think people tend to think folks just learn how or know how to manage their money, but that's not the case, is it?
No, and it was a great partnership, like I said, with your best in class and with our leadership. Good partnership.
Well, thank you for that. So recently, there was a big announcement from Wells Fargo, I think, just about sort of supporting Silence the Growl. Maybe you could say a little bit about that.
Oh, sure. The big announcement. So with our $173,000 grant to Silence the Growl, we were able to take the child hunger program year-round. So initially, the Silence the Growl was just a program that served children during the summer, and it served children who were receiving free and reduced lunch during the school year. But now, with this 2-year initiative, we are able to take the program and work with other partners to tighten that meal gap, I guess you could call it, and we're able to work with children who are eligible. They receive a pack or a bag of food over the weekend and breaks and holidays, and it's enough food that what is usually provided during the school year, so it gets them through those breaks. So we're really excited about that, and I think our strong partnership helps us achieve and try to conquer the nation's tough issues like hunger, childhood hunger. So we're really excited about that grant.
That's awesome.
Yeah. How important is the bank's role, in your view, in the fight to address food insecurity?
Sure. So it is one of our focus areas, philanthropy. Our philanthropy is K-12 educational programs that tighten the achievement gap and community development programs, so affordable housing, workforce development, and adult financial literacy. So this program really fits in. Almost everything that we support helps low to moderate income families and helps the community. So this fits in right with our philanthropy. And our employees volunteered recently with Silence the Growl and just enjoyed working and helping with the program as well.
Yeah, the reports on that were really exciting.
Yes.
Daffany, we're going to come back to you on Enterprise Holdings. Stepping back, you talked a little bit about your role, but I'm sure folks know about Enterprise Rent-A-Car, but what are the other brands that are part of Enterprise Holdings?
Sure. So Enterprise Holdings operates Enterprise Rent-A-Car, National, and Alamo.
Oh, okay. Well, that helps our
Yes,
folks.
absolutely.
And so do you have any idea of sort of what a future might look like between this United Way and Enterprise as it relates to things like food insecurity or hunger?
Well, I think that, our history shows that, our partnership continues to grow and strengthen each year, which has been wonderful. Locally here, I've been here in Atlanta for 7 years and have had the pleasure to work with many on your team. And I love the creativity that we enjoy to really capture and capitalize on what our employees need and want as it relates to how they can stay connected to their communities while they're living life and making a living.
Great. So we've got a little over 2 minutes left, so I'll ask each of you sort of the call to action question. So I'll start with you, Christy. As you look out to the audience and you think about some other companies out there that may not have identified food insecurity as a priority, just say a little bit about why you think they should get involved.
Sure. I think they should definitely be calling United Way and seeing how they can get involved, how they can get their employees to volunteer there's so many different networks at United Way. There's the different, like the African American Partnership and the Women's Network. There are just tons of ways for employees to get involved, and employees like to be involved in initiatives like that to help the community. So I think that makes them feel good and helps engage our workforce.
And thank you. And Daffany, your call to action?
Yeah, well, I would say for those companies out there who either have never, put their toe in the water or just have, never had the partnership or enjoyed that, is really it's made it easy for our company. It's made it easy for our employees. Our employees come to us and let us know that they want to give back, but often don't know how, right? So it's helped us navigate through that. I don't have all the answers, but there's lots of resources, again, in very small and big ways that our employees want to get involved, and it's not always financially. They want to involve their families and their children in this. In this contribution that they want to make towards the community. So the United Way just makes my job a lot easier, and it's been wonderful, again, to take advantage of a lot of the creativity that really speaks to the desires and the wants that my employees want, not just what I think is right.
Thanks, Christina. On behalf of the community and children and families all across Greater Atlanta, I want to thank you and Wells Fargo for the partnership that's enabling us to turn Silence the Growl from a summer feeding program to a year-round effort. Thanks so much.
And thank you for the strong relationship in helping us tackle the critical issues that the nation is facing. So thank you.
Thank you. And Daffany, thank you and everybody at Enterprise Holdings for the great work you do, particularly around Silence the Growl and the volunteer experiences that make so much of a difference for the community as well as your associates.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a real treat. Always great to spend some time with you, and I love our partnership. And Christina, it was a pleasure meeting you.
You too.
And thanks for helping our audience learn more about food insecurity, Silence the Growl, and how United Way agencies and corporate partners are working together to improve the well-being of children, families, and communities all across Greater Atlanta. Did you know that of the nearly 1.3 million children in our 13-county area, close to half of them live in communities with low or very low child well-being? Through United Way of Greater Atlanta's Child Well-Being Agenda, we're working to change that by improving the lives of more than 250,000 children by the year 2027. To learn more about how you can become part of the child well-being movement, visit unitedwayatlanta.org.